Because I feel like there are men out there that don't care about the size, and there are men out there that specifically go for bigger girls. There are men out there that even are feeders. They purposely feed women. Men don't like fat women. I get it. Obviously, being fat is not in society is not deemed as being attractive. But however, I don't think it's fair to say
what percent of guys.
I don't know statistics.
So no, I'm saying like, come on. Let's just be real for a second.
Yeah, I'm being very real.
Let's be real. What percent of guys is that common? Men to be like, this is what girls always do. It's every time we make a point that's for the men, and that makes sense. We have to bring up the exception. If that was the case, then you would see the men with the most options, the most handsome men, and the most rich men with fat chicks, but they're not.
But it's because they're embarrassed.
The men that date fat, the men that date.
She is capping hard, man. Come on. I'm not putting down fat girls. Like, if you want to be fat, be fat. If you're struggling with it, I get it. I was fat at one point as well. But let's not pretend here. Guys with the most options are not dating big women. They're just not. There are outliers. Don't get me wrong. I've seen guys with loads of money with a fat woman. I've seen it. But it's extremely rare. Extremely rare. To the point that when I see it, I look sideways because it's not the norm. You don't usually see those things. She said they're embarrassed. You think guys with a lot of money care what people that they would perceive to be peons think about them when they're up there living their life? If they were truly attracted to these big girls, then they would have them around them. But the guys that you see with all the money tend to have supermodels around them, or girls that look like that, or at least girls that are like conventionally attractive. They all have one thing in common. They're all in pretty good shape. They all have body types that you would perceive to be healthy, or at the very least, they've gotten surgery to perceive themselves that way. They all look a certain way, is what I'm saying. So I don't know why she's capping that. That's not true. It's just not true. Do you ever see it on a regular?
Mm-mm.
Do you must know people with money. Do you think they're embarrassed to be dating the women they're dating, or do you think they like fat girls but they're just embarrassed?
No.
That's nonsense. That's some bullshit point. I'm very interested to see where she goes with this.
Fat chicks, it's usually they don't have as many options. And some girls get away with it a little bit more because they're shaped better, they have a pretty face, but by and large, men just don't like fat girls.
Would you go to the chicken shop and buy a bone and a bit of chicken with no meat on it? Would you go to the chicken shop and ask for a side breast with no meat, just a side breast bone?
They might like ass and boobs, but they don't want a gut.
That was the stupidest thing I've heard all week. I can't believe she just said that on camera. There's no way she thought that through. She had an opportunity when the other two were arguing to come up with something worthwhile. And she said, would you go to a chicken shop and buy a chicken with no meat on it? Are you... Come on, man. That's got to be a low point. That's got to be a low point in podcast history. What a stupid analogy. That is one of the dumbest analogies I have ever heard. Am I eating the fat girl? Am I eating her leg? Am I a zombie? How dare you say that? And make my ears digest that. That was offensive. That
10
was
seconds of your life you're never getting back.
That was so dumb. It was offensive.
That's like asking me for like chicken back. Yes, I do.
But then you got all these men nowadays.
Do you go to the chicken shop?
Chicken back to chicken breast.
Do you go to the chicken shop to buy chicken with no meat on it? No, you don't. You want some meat on your chicken.
Okay, let's ask the men.
That comparison makes no sense.
The young women of this generation, they think they know what men want, and they say it with such conviction.
Yeah.
But you just need to listen and ask a bit more, because there's men in the room, there's men within your life. You can't truly say you know what a man wants, because quite clearly in almost every time you've been wrong. So no.
And we only base it off of what men say, because men are the ones online. Men are the ones online going, I like my girls BBW.
No, okay. Let's. Do you think it's any validity?
Are you on African Tinder or something? You're in the UK. If you go to Africa, they do like big girls there. I've seen it.
No, but it was a trend.
What was a trend?
Beforehand of men saying they like BBW, right?
What year was this?
It was something to do with Anthony Joshua. He said it first, and then all of a sudden, every girl wanted to get thick, right? But there's a difference between...
That's not a BBW.
Being thick and having curves in all the right places as opposed to just being fat.
Yeah, a BBW is not a girl having curves in the right places. BBWs, no offense, I mean this with no offense whatsoever, BBWs are often perceived to have curves in the wrong places.
But that's what Anthony Joshua said he likes.
I don't give a shit what Anthony Joshua said. I really couldn't care less. Anthony Joshua can speak for himself. I am talking on behalf of the majority of men. Now, if you're talking about, if you're back in Nigeria or Uganda, then yeah, okay, fine. But we're not there. We're in the UK. Most people watching Pearl's podcast are in the UK and the US. And guys in the UK and the US, black guys, do not like their girls to be heavier than them. It just is what it is. Now, I'm not saying that there's not guys out there that don't like heavy girls. There are plenty. But the majority of guys do like thin to, at least these, like, you don't have to be a stick. No one's saying that. No one's saying they don't like a bit of meat. But they're talking about big girls. There's a difference. Guys like a bit of meat, of course. You do not want to be walking around with an ironing board.
Do you think it's any validity that these are all random dudes that I barely know? Barely. No. That random. So this is at random. So if they give you an answer and it's all the same, would you say that says something about men? So I'm going to ask them. I don't know what they're going to say. I don't know them. I can't influence them.
I would say that a lot of men follow each other's mentality. Like, so they don't speak their own tune. I don't think they speak their real thoughts. And I'm gonna follow up and say as well, there's like men that deep down they love big girls, but they're embarrassed to show it because their their group don't like big girls. So if they speak up and say, well, I like it, like you just said you like big girls, that's real. Because most guys will follow what each other man says. And I feel like maybe like, I feel like early 2000s 100% being thick, being even my size, like obviously I'm a bigger giril, innit? I don't think I'm fat. Other people might think I'm fat, but I know I'm a bigger girl. But
don't worry.
No, but I'm not saying it like that. I'm just...
This is not... Listen, if you're fat, you're fat. There's no I think I'm not fat or I think I am fat. If you're fat, you're fat. If I measure my biceps and they're however many inches, it's not I think that they're that many inches. It's that they are. If you're skinny, if you weigh 8 stone, it's not that you think you're 8 stone, it's that you are 8 stone. Okay, so all of this nonsense, just accept it for what it is. Okay, men accept it all the time. I accepted it when I was fat. I had to do something about it. And if you don't want to do something about it, that's fine. But this whole, men follow each other's mentality, I can tell you that's not true. Just within my group, the range of different looking girls that everyone has been with is like they're on opposite sides of the spectrum. Now, yeah, it's true that none of them are really big consistently. Obviously, there has been big girls, but none of them are really big consistently in most of the groups that I know. But that's not to say that she just said there was a guy there that likes big girls. I think I heard him say I'm a whore, so that probably just means he likes all girls. All shapes and sizes. But if he just likes big girls, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with liking a fat girl if that's your preference. But to pretend like it's outside of the norm for a guy that has a lot of money, is conventionally attractive to go for a big girl is ridiculous. That's not true. And that's why when people see that, they're like, oh, okay. And then they would say that she's punching. The same way if a supermodel went out of a guy that's fat, if you're just looking at it based off looks, you would say he's punching. You would probably say, I bet he's got a lot of money. That's the first thing you turn to, right? Because it's not his looks that got her there. And maybe it was, but the first thing we turn to is his money or his power. They're going to ask, well, what does he do for a living? And when people are really young, they say, oh, I bet he's funny. He must have a great personality. You hear people say that all the time. So this whole like denial of what is around us, I don't have the percentages. I know Pearl likes to throw out a lot of percentages. I don't really like doing that in arguments because you can kind of get data from very biased places, but you can observe this. You can observe this in your day-to-day and you can see what guys go for.